Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I'm Muriel, this as told by Muriel. For my new subscribers, hey, welcome. My name is Muriel. I'm a registered nurse, BSNRN actually. I prefer long-term care, so I've centered my channel mainly talking about nursing and long-term care. I prefer long-term care for many reasons, mainly for my mental stability, and I've always had a soft spot for the elderly. So if you share those sentiments, welcome to my channel. So today's video, y'all, I am going to be discussing the population's perception of nurses. I've watched a few videos from a few people I follow here on YouTube, and in two separate videos, people were mentioning how nurses are just mean and evil, and one of them even went out to say most nurses, and I'm thinking most nurses that they've encountered are just mean and evil. And I was like, wow, when did nursing go from the most respected profession, a profession about caring and, how all the, everything that used to be said about nursing, to being the most evil and mean people and, basically in the healthcare industry. And I was like, wow, is that how people view nurses? So many people running and flocking to become nurses, and I think they're doing it for the money aspect. I'm not gonna lie, I don't hate on nobody who wants to do it for the money, but you just have to know that you have to have a good bedside manner. You have to be a good communicator. You have to have social skills. You have to have those things regardless of what specialty you go into in nursing, because unless you're a nurse who's going to be working like remotely and not having direct patient care at all, even if it's over the phone or anything, you need those three things to be a nurse. I cannot tell you how many nurses that I've worked with who do not know how to communicate, seem like they don't even have social skills, and they're just like they are very passive aggressive. Like they just seem to always have an attitude. They have an attitude with their peers. They have an attitude with the patients. They just have an attitude. And some of them, I think it's a cultural thing, because I have ran into some nurses from other cultures, and I have had to overlook some of their behaviors and some of the way that they speak to people, because I chop it up to their culture. Because I hate to say it, and a lot of people culturally are seen as rude, blunt, and abrupt in their speaking. And so I know that's them. But y'all, we are in the South. I am in South Carolina. We are typically known as slow pace, drawn out speech, pleasant, Southern hospitality. And so when you take a patient who's like that, and then they meet someone who's passive aggressive, real blunt, mean, there's a clash there. And I like I said, I've worked with nurses who are like that, and I kind of understand cultural differences. I chalk it up to that's how they are, because that's how it is in their culture. But even with that being said, you are taught in nursing school about being an effective, I was taught, but I've always been an effective communicator. It just came naturally to me. I don't know why. I'm not what you would call a social butterfly, but I have social skills. I have great communication skills. I'm just a friendly person, to be honest. I'm not friends to everyone, because I guard my mentals, but overall, I am a social person. I can talk to anyone, regardless of your nationality, your creed. We may not understand each other as far as language or dialect, but I will talk to you. I would try to get to understand what you're saying. I get annoyed myself with patients, not going to lie. And if you're a nurse and you're going to get annoyed with your patients at time. And there are going to be some patients that you're going to try to spend less and less time with them because of their behavior. But you still have to uphold a certain standard just because you're a nurse. Like you can be a shitty person in the world, but when it comes to working with these patients, it's almost like a facade that you have to put on, because who really wants to be nice to a person that's mean to them? But it's almost like a facade you have to put on for certain patients. Now, not all, certain patients, because certain patients, that don't matter what you do for them, they're just never going to be happy. But you have to always uphold a certain standard as a nurse. And even when I was younger, like y'all, when I was younger, because I attribute a lot of things to when you're young, and we know there are a lot of young nurses. There are more new nurses than seasoned nurses. And when I say new nurses, I mean nurses who are only been nurses like 5 years or less. There are more of those nurses than there are nurses who have been nurses like 10 years or more. Because of a person's bedside manner and because of you being a pleasant or nice nurse, your patients become a little more agreeable with you, especially when they're used to encountering mean nurse after mean nurse after mean nurse. They just have their guard up. Not to mention these doctors who are in here with them for 5 minutes, give them a little swift information about their condition. But honestly, they're dealing with so many different patients. They got 5 minutes to give you. They're hoping that you don't ask any questions because they really want to move on. And so it all kind of falls on the nurse to then like clarify a lot of things. But yeah, when I saw those videos and they were talking about just how mean and nasty the nurses are and people shouldn't be nurses, I was like, wow, is that the outlook on nurses these days? And I feel like now that nurses are making more money because of, the thing that was going on. Now a lot of people, because it's been on all the social media sites about nursing making 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 a week. Now everyone feels that nurses are just nurses for the money, regardless of the fact that there's some nurses like out here like me who've been nurses forever, who wasn't making this money, but we were still out here doing the job. Now it's like now the going thing is people are becoming a nurse just for the money. They don't really care about the patients. They barely do the job right. And they're mean and they're this and they're that. I'm like, wow, so that's the outlook. I'm kind of glad I'm trying to get out of it because it's just... But I was getting a little offended when they were talking. And it's not because I'm like one of the nurses that they mentioned, because I am so far from that type of nurse. I'm a very pleasant person, I think. I've gotten compliments everywhere I go. People compliment me on the work that I do. I'm not mean. I'm not passive. Well, I can be passive aggressive at times. I'm not going to lie. But I'm not a mean person. I'm a very pleasant person. Like my patients, they love when I work with them because I do things. I've had so many patients tell me, oh, you're a nurse, you're not supposed to do that. But I just go ahead and do it because that's just who I am. And I try to be pleasant. I do get annoyed sometimes with the patients, like I've stated in the past, who know they were admitted to the hospital for a certain condition, but they continue to live a lifestyle that's going to be a detriment to their health, and they do it while they're in the hospital. Like that really annoys me. And I kind of not shut down with that patient, but I don't talk as much because I can sit here and watch you harming yourself by the activities that you're engaging in right here in the hospital. And I sometimes wonder, like, why do you even keep coming back to the hospital if you're going to keep like engaging in these things? Why keep coming back to the hospital? It's like one thing to hide it and do it when you're home, but you got admitted here with a blood sugar of 900. You're finally gotten to where you can get on a sliding scale and kind of regulate your blood sugar, but you ordering 3-piece Bojangles and a biscuit. And I keep using that as a reference because I've seen it so many times. And you're eating it and you're using insulin as your antidote to your high blood sugar instead of making better choices with your food so you don't have to take the insulin. Like, anyway, so yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the outlook on nursing, y'all, because nurses have gotten a real bad. They're really people that loving and most caring and whatever people used to say about nurses and the most respected profession. That is just about going out the window now. The perception of nurses now is they're money hungry, they're greedy, they're rude, they're passive aggressive, they're just downright nasty people. And I was like, wow, how times have changed. But yeah, guys, if you got anything you want to say down below, and I'm making this for those nurses who are just coming into the field, like y'all really going to kind of have it hard now. It was a little easier back in the day with us. And I think it was easier because people weren't as unhealthy back then. Outside of people having to stay extended amount of time for like certain chronic conditions and tragedies and, accidents and stuff like that, people weren't having these extended stays in the hospital for chronic conditions that like diabetes and but now it's just down here in the South, it's like everybody's coming in with renal failure, everybody's coming in with diabetes, everybody's coming in with chronic hypertension. Like some of these people are more sick now than they used to be. And I feel for the nurses coming in because they really have to deal with all this on top of being short staffed and on top of being viewed as some of the meanest, most passive aggressive people in the healthcare industry. So anyway, y'all, I'm Muriel, this as told by Muriel. Sorry it took me so long, but I'm back and I'm going to try to be consistent again because my numbers are driving up and I want to keep them up. I'm at a goal to get to 1,000 subscribers, hopefully by the end of the year. Hopefully, they say consistency is key, so we will see. But anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.